Welcome to Freethinkers Fireside, where we put the human in humanist, one cozy chat at a time. I'm Helen, also known as Hellsbells. Before we get to guests, I want everybody to know I have an announcement. I am accredited with the Creator Accountability Network. So if I have a guest that says anything questionable that might cause harm, or if I say anything questionable that might cause harm, there is a link, and it's going to be in all the doobly-doos. If you see anything that's questionable, or if I have someone on that's problematic and I'm not aware of it, you can make a report. So just wanted to announce that I just signed the paperwork the other day. So go me. Anyway, today we're having Eli Slack on, and we're going to talk about stigma and social shame. So let's say hi to Eli. Hello, Eli.
Hi, Eli. Hey,
hello. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've been excited for this. It's always fun to talk openly about shame. It's super comfortable. Everybody loves doing
it. That's why people don't go to therapy, because everybody talks about shame so well.
Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna get all into it today.
Yeah, we're gonna get in it. So, tell the people who you are. Anything you got to shill or not? Anyway, just tell the people.
Yeah, I don't shill. I don't have anything. I guess something that's on hiatus, but it was new anyway. So I'm Eli. I mostly you'll if you know me, you'll know me from the atheist community of Austin, the nonprofits primarily. That's where Helen and I know each other from. We're gonna meet in person for the first time next.
I'm so excited.
That's very exciting. Sharing an Airbnb in Austin with a group for the Bat Cruise. So I'm sorry, I'm in a different mode. Sorry.
No, it's fine. No, talk about the Bat Cruise. We can talk about that. Yeah. We have a topic, but we don't have to stay on topic. Awesome. We can meander. It's fine. Awesome. Don't keep ADHD person on topic. That's just silly.
Right. I don't do that. I can't do that. I wander too much. But yeah, the Bat Cruise is coming up. It's gonna be a fun time. This will be my second year going. Have you been before?
No, this is my first year. I promised Greg. Okay. Last year, because he wanted me to come, and I'm like, I'm already going to RFR excursion. I can't. And he was like, but I said, I promise for 2025, and then my dad passed away around this time last year, so it was just not a good time for me to go. So I was like, but I will come to Bat Cruise this year. So I promised Greg that I would be there. So, and I try to keep my promise. So
amazing.
Yeah.
You should. That's why I'm going to be there. If you don't keep your promises.
You will. Okay. Well, I'm flying out tomorrow to go to visit family. So then I'm flying to Texas on Monday. So.
Outstanding. Yeah, I'll be driving down with a couple of our other friends from the ACA. I'm just outside St. Louis, so it's going to be a bit of a drive.
You're going out with Scott and Kelly, right?
Kelly and Tracy Wilbert, a newer nonprofit, but he's not that new anymore.
No, he's not. He's seasoned. He's a little seasoned.
I've known Tracy for a while. He's a super good guy. So yeah. We're personal friends. So when we both realized we were going, we're like, well, why not? Let's just ride down together. And then Kelly as well.
It'll be an amazing time. We're all going to have an amazing time. It's going to be great.
I expect to.
I'm so excited.
I demand to, actually. I think
I demand to have a good time.
I require a good time.
Yeah, and if I don't have it, I'm going to protest somehow by having a good time.
Yeah.
So, you want to talk about social stigmas and shame. Why did you want to talk about social stigmas and shame?
I think, because what I kind of talked to you, it kind of spawned from another idea, which was about sort of like how people interact with each other socially. But there's a lot of places I could start, and I never really picked one. So I kind of, as a humanist, I kind of, my view of humanism is sort of like I enjoy at times looking at humans as an animal, just like any other animal, and how animals behave. And I think I'm not an expert on anything, just to kind of be clear about that right away. But I think that humans, by and large, it can be said they're pretty good at pattern recognition and tribalism. And tribalism is a big thing. And those are both really big things in shame, at the most basic level. But that's sort of what it comes down to. People, I think, recognize when being a social animal, we recognize that when we don't operate, we have social consequences. The group doesn't, I'm not in the group anymore. And for a social animal, that's survival. So shame is really at its surface. It stems from this fear of being wrong or not being accepted. And once you can instill that fear, because it exists just kind of innately in a social animal. Once you have that fear, then you can start controlling behavior just by, once you get the group to say, oh, that thing is wrong, and you have a group that says, oh, here, this is a thing to be ashamed of. Now you have a stigma. And once you have stigma, now you start to have shame. So it gets really, I mean, that's it, there's a lot about it, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So, when I had David Tisha on last week, we were talking about like religious trauma, and we were talking about shame and how that's a big part of, the whole thing with religion, the guilt and the shame you just have for existing as a human being. And we talked about how like religion kind of weaponizes that. And because we have these social contracts, with other human beings, spoken and unspoken, that when you're pushed into isolation, it leads to a lot of very bad things. Anything from depression, abuse to self-harm, whatever, it can, anger issues, it can manifest in all these different ways. And my kind of thoughts on, why and I think also too, we kind of fetishize shame a little bit, not in like a fun way.
I saw that in the chat a little bit.
not in a kink way, guys.
Oh, okay. No, that's what I saw.
Different fetishization. We're like, we'd like to see people get their comeuppance. We like to see people, apologize, kind of get what's coming to them. And it can kind of lead to, especially everybody's on the fucking internet. And if you're not, I don't know where you are. That because we tend to forget there's other people on the other end, that we take joy in their shame. And I don't, and I do it too. I'm not going to say I'm like above it, but I think that nobody's really thinking like, why am I taking such joy and this person's like feeling like a piece of crap right now, so I think that's another aspect of it too, because, and I think that comes from religion, because there's a lot of tattletaling and things that happen in religion, and be like, I'm better than you,
Yeah,
and that's really bad.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what it is. It's a lot of that like holier than thou, because like, oh, do you read these as they come out, or how do you do?
I just put them up on the screen. Sometimes I read them.
Okay. But
if you want to comment on them later, like whatever. So
sure. But I think that religious shame, and I don't know if many people would disagree with me. I think we just saw like a little gnat fly right in front of my camera. I'm sorry. It's gonna keep happening.
I didn't even notice. So
somebody did. They're gonna focus on it until it goes away. This shame from religion is used to control behavior, and it's this idea that like, if you know about like a sin and you don't report it, like you're complicit, right? And there are some things for which like I can totally take that stance, right? Where like, if you know about harm coming to somebody and you don't report that to someone that can help, I think that you're a little bit complicit in that harm, like at least an accessory to it, by omission. But when it comes to people minding their own business, sinning, like, lusting, or whatever, having certain body types that society deems not ideal,
Mhm.
or whatever the case may be, then you have this. And we were talking about the ADHD a minute ago. Where I was going with that thought completely just escaped me, but
Okay,
I
I'll come back.
it will. Um, when you can take things like that and put some layer of shame on them, now you have a reason to say, like, oh, well, I'm not that way, so I'm better than you. I'm holier than thou. I'm not, that way. And I can tell other people now. Other people will know that I'm better than you, and that we're all better than you. And it's just this sort of. It is a little bit of like that sadism, kind of like you were talking
Yeah.
about. But there's a huge difference between like consensual, like sadomasochism in a relationship between adults that want to do that, and like I just am sadistic, and I like to see other people feel bad as if they are bad because of something
But
about
it's
them.
fun bad. Like I have a humiliation kink, but I don't want that like outside the bedroom. Like I don't like
Right.
if somebody talked to me just like started calling me names just because they're being an asshole, I'd be like, that's not okay, man. I did not give you permission.
Right. Exactly. And context matters, and it's
Context,
about consent.
context
Context
matters.
matters. And there are a lot of, and I can understand that sentiment, right? That context matters, and
Mhm.
and not that I disagree with it at all, but I think the fact that context matters is also a result of stigma and shame. Right. So, for example, we talk about context matters a lot in the context of like unsolicited nudes, right?
Mhm.
Like you hear someone say, like, yeah, maybe there are some times where I want to see an image like that, but if I do, I will seek it out, right? Don't just send it to me because context matters, and in the wrong context, I don't want to see that. But that is because we have this sort of stigma around like nudity. Like humans are the only animals that do a lot of things, right? So it's not like this isn't like some revelation. But among those things, like humans are the only ones that cover our bodies intentionally. I mean, for more than just protection. Like there's like animals that change their homes, their shells, like crabs, or not crabs, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Wait a
Snails.
minute. Not crabs. Crabs do molting.
Right, exactly. But like, so,
Or like,
but
but I know what you're saying. There are animals
yeah,
that
but like,
change. They're actually, what? Nobody a good example would be like birds of paradise because they will groom themselves and make themselves look more attractive to attract like a female mate. So there you go.
however, yeah, and that's a fair point. I'll make the distinction that they're not constructing tools with which to cover
That is
their
true.
body, right?
That's true.
And I think it's just this idea that like, oh, you shouldn't see somebody's body outside of certain circumstances. And my question is, why not? What bad thing happens,
Well,
right?
okay. Again, it's consent.
Of course.
Right. So like if we lived like as AJ just pointed out, like I want to go around topless without shame. Like as women, we are for some reason because we have fatty breast tissue,
Mhm,
that's somehow offensive. But in other societies, like breasts aren't sexualized.
mhm,
Okay. Now, if you and I go topless and you're male presenting,
mhm.
you're not going to face the same social stigma as I am.
Right.
I will be deemed inappropriate. I'm a slut. Pick a word. And I could be arrested for nudity, even though it's the same
Just
skin,
another
but
animal.
I have more fat tissue because we
Mhm,
sexualize breasts. But in other
mhm,
societies, they don't do that. Like you can go to some places around the world and women are topless and they're breastfeeding in public and nobody cares. It's because of the way that we're socialized and the way that our culture is. Now, that's fine. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with breasts, but
agreed.
using that. So we know the context of that because like women are sexualized and it's misogyny and shit.
Mhm.
And then we have the other thing where if I'm online and I get an unsolicited dick pic, I didn't ask for that. Like it's no real harm coming to me. Like you're not actually physically assaulting me or anything, but I didn't ask to see your penis.
True. And so, yeah, and I can, I just put it into a context that I didn't. So a couple things to respond to that.
Yeah.
It would be, so let's say if everybody was nude all the time, and this is just the shorter, this is the last part of what you said, but it's the shorter part. So that's where I'm starting. If everybody was nude all the time, it would be like getting a dick pic would just be like getting a picture of like if I sent you a selfie of my face and I didn't know you or like barely knew you, you'd be like, why are you sending this to me? It would be like I don't need a picture of you or of any part of your body, but it wouldn't be sensationalized in the same way as it is now because it's nudity, right? I can't wear pants at you. You know what I mean? So
you know, I'd be like, why are you showing me a picture of your pants? Right. Like you really look good in those pants.
Then maybe it's a little bit no. But
you're like Helen, why is he I got my ass looks really good in the
exactly. Yeah. Like now it's an action toward me because of the way no, I'm kidding. That's not true either. Because visibility is not access, right? Like being like so kind of just to step off from where I was at. If nudity was normalized, it would be just the same as like getting a picture of somebody's crotch with pants on, right? That's still weird and like a thing that you shouldn't do. But it would be, and you, I guess from your perspective, you'd have to tell me if you agree. But from my perspective, I think that would be a lot less offensive than a nude picture of someone's crotch that I didn't ask for.
Yeah, I'm not. I think that if they send me if it's like I'm chatting with someone and they just send me I don't know, it's context. But if you just send me like a pic of your crotch, one, I'm gonna be like, why?
Right.
Why? And then if this is like a test, like putting a toe on to see if I would be receptive to a dick pic, you could just ask. But I'm not going to get offended as much. I don't even get offended by dick pics anymore because I'm just like, I've seen a penis. I just, now I'm just like, well,
it's an annoyance.
It's annoying. Yeah. I'm just like, cause I'm in my 40s and I don't care. But also I'm going to block you. Because I'm like, cause I didn't ask for it.
But now let me ask you this. Would you also block the person that sent you the picture of their clothed crotch?
Again, context.
Okay. And that's fair. My thought was basically this, like with the reason that the nude dick pic is a little bit more jarring is because of the nudity, is because we are sensitized to nudity. We're socialized to be sensitive to nudity. We should only be nude if we're bathing, going to the bathroom or peeing or pooping.
In the context, you're usually naked.
Right. Exactly. Right. And in the context of like sex, like that should only in certain, cultures and purity and modesty culture that most of us here in the West have been, raised, flooded in. Sex only should occur with you and one other person in your life forever. So there should be one other person total apart from your parents and your doctor that ever sees you naked, and anybody else, both you and they are wrong for seeing you naked. And we're kind of sensitized to that way. Even those of us that have kind of stepped out of like our religion and that purity and modesty culture, we do still have that lifetime of that sensitization to nudity that we just kind of experience as a reflex. That makes sense?
I kind of with Antier, I kind of agree with like unsolicited picture of a crotch with pants on is merely annoying, and a possible microaggression where pants off feels like assault. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a really good distinction between the two.
And that's kind of what I was thinking too. But I
Yeah.
did, because like I don't experience that. It's not a problem for me. So I have no idea what it would feel like. So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
why.
I mean, like, like when Ethan was on, he talked about like he was out with his nephew, and this woman that he had been kind of flirting with him sent him a video of her masturbating. He was very offended because he was with his nephew. One,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
two, it's like you didn't ask if it was safe to send.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this something you can look at right now? That's like,
Yeah.
it may be the case, because I've heard someone put it in that context too. It's not always that like, I don't want to see this. It's, I want to see this at a later time when it's more, when I can experience it and like
Yeah,
a
but
way
you
that will
need to
matter.
ask
Right.
first.
Exactly.
Regardless,
Totally
and
agree.
they've just been flirting like they hadn't sexted yet at all. It was just random. And then she's like,
Okay.
"Well, I thought you would like it."
She's
I'm
like, let
like,
me escalate.
"Not now."
Yeah.
Not when I have like
Like,
when I'm hanging around with my 8-year-old nephew.
right.
No.
Like, yes, of course I would like it, but like in the right context, just like,
Yeah, everything's
you would
context,
expect with him, I think.
and I would find that, and I would
Right.
also find that I would consider that assault because I was not expecting it. And if we lived in a culture where we could even just talk about sex, like, in a casual way, like we're talking about a movie, that's also true because there's even just talking about being in sexual situations and what happened and, trying different things with different partners or whatever. We don't have those conversations. Everybody's like, well, it's supposed to be in the bedroom. But I'm like, but everybody's fucking. Like, why are we making those distinctions?
So that actually points right back to the other thing I was going
Yeah.
to say, to respond to what you were saying earlier. So
No.
the idea of like breasts being sexualized and therefore are offensive when seen, right? So that was a thing that took me so long to understand, because I don't find breasts offensive. Like, I think it's totally reasonable for women to be topless anywhere, at any, like,
Right.
anywhere that men can also be topless. And I also think that it should be reasonable for anybody to be topless anywhere, because bodies are just bodies. Like, I recognize our society isn't there, but that I think the reality of the situation is that. So I think people also have a difficult time that not only distinguishing nudity from sex, but distinguishing nudity and sex from arousal. Because arousal is just a natural human reaction, right? You can
Yeah.
experience and acknowledge arousal without acting on it. And
Right.
and like, sexual animals get sexually aroused. And of course, when something is socialized sexually, or when you are socialized to sexualize something, there's a lot of I's there, but it's kind of like the same reflex I was talking about earlier. And I want to clarify too that, like, I'm not defending the idea of sending unsolicited dick pics. Like, I don't know if I might have come across
Yeah.
how I
Okay.
said it.
Like just so everybody is clear.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean,
Don't
I
send
think the
unsolicited dick pics.
yeah, I think
We're
the
not
creator
promoting that.
accountability. I think the creator
Yeah.
accountability network is a
And if it
great
sounds like
thing,
it is, please put it in the doobly doo.
but but yeah, I think that in any context where in any kind of receiving an unexpected nude picture is jarring, is strange, it feels assault. And that the comment that Aunt Jer said is kind of exactly what I was thinking. It's because it is nude, and because of our sensitivity to
Yeah.
nudity, is why it feels that way. And I'm not saying that it's wrong for it to feel that way. That's the way that
Right.
it should feel, because that's how we were taught to feel about it. I'm not trying to invalidate that in any way. Just sort of like I mentioned, I look at humans as an animal, as often as I can, without dehumanizing people. So
Well, I think it's because we do live in a shame culture that it's either we pretty much have an all or nothing perspective. You know, like you have to be concerned, like if you're, how much skin you're showing. There's a sexist study that says that women that show more skin are ovulating and want to fuck. No, that's not true. There's an old study that said like, because it was
Oh
done
my
by a bunch of
goodness.
misogynist scientists, and I'm like, I live in Florida.
Right.
I'm always hot, so I'm like, or maybe I just like this.
Or live in warm climates.
Or I live in warm climates, or maybe I just like the clothing that I wear. Like, and I want to wear. I'm like, this dress looks good on me. Happens to show off my boobs, or it's a little short, whatever. I'm not really concerned. It's the same people that say like women wear makeup because we're trying to attract men. And I'm like, well, what if I was trained to work with all women? Also, as well, I work with a woman and a man, and I don't want to have sex with any of them. So I just wear makeup because I like you. So, but it's this idea that everything has to be, so even that in that context, it's still being sexualized, and then like the fact that if I show off, cleavage or whatever, or if, a guy wears assless chaps, is the only thing, because like somehow,
or like maybe like the sweatpants thing, right? I don't know if that's
or sweatpants thing or whatever. Yeah, it's going to be one of those things that it's like, if he wears tights, let's just say a guy wears tights and you can see his bulge. Okay, like if we tend to think that, you're showing off what we consider like a private part, that you are inviting some kind of sexual context or word, and it's like, no,
you sexualized it. You looked at it and you thought about sex. That's your reaction, right?
That's your problem. I'm like, there have been plenty of things that it might not even be something sexual in my brain because my brain is gray. And I'm just like, okay, I had thought about sex. Gonna move on now.
Exactly. It's so simple to do. It's like, oh, I thought about electrons for I'm always thinking about electrons. All of my favorite things are made of them. But I thought about the movie We Bought a Zoo for a second, and now I'm moving on.
Yeah.
I never saw it. That's my thought.
But the thing is, though, is like, because of purity culture, like if you have a sexual thought, somehow you're going to turn into a sexual deviant, and I'm like, okay, one, if you do, that's you got to get some help. but that doesn't happen to most people. Like the majority of people can have a thought and go, that person is attractive. I want to be like to bang them and move on with their day. That's it. You know, like hot, move on.
Yeah. Like if I had the chance, if they consented, I would also consent. Is this like that? You can have that thought, and then and it's,
or maybe they open their mouth and then you decide you don't want to consent. you're like, oh no.
Right. It's problematic if like you're reducing every person you see in life to that thought, right? But
like they're an object than a person,
right. But I'm hitting a bunch of stuff here. I'm afraid I'm making a lot of noise that I don't mean to make. But humans are sexual creatures, and sexual creatures have sexual reactions, and
thanks for patting.
I never notice. I actually don't look at people a lot in general. I get really nervous that I don't want like someone to be like, oh, are you staring at me? And I can just be like, no, I'm not. And I can just not be staring, but I don't know. I get anxious. I experience shame or guilt. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's not one of those. And I'm just trying to shoehorn it into the discussion.
Maybe it's not shame, but respect. Like you don't want someone to feel, or you don't want someone to feel uncomfortable. But it's more like comfort level. And also too, like if you're neurospicy, like we get weird about like how we're looking at people, and and my brain will start to drift, and I have to force myself to focus, because otherwise my ADHD brain will start thinking about Pikachu dancing, and then it's all over.
For me, it's like, what is that person going to think about the reason that I'm looking at them and what my intentions are? And
yes, and then welcome to the neurospicy brain. It's so much fun in here.
Yeah, neurodivergent shame. And neurodivergent people so they do sort of experience shame differently, because there's a sort of because there's rejection sensitive dysphoria, firstly, right?
Yep.
Which is this hyper sensitivity.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, and I've experienced it, and I don't know that I've fully kind of overcome that, but I feel like I experience it a lot less anymore.
Me too.
And good, awesome, good for you. Because I know that it sucks. It's one of those things that really sucks a lot, and it's tough to deal with sometimes. But with that, and with the idea of kind of with me and with a lot of neurodivergent people, the idea of having a rule set to operate by, and understanding that rule set is that's the way that life goes. And then when you realize you're getting that rule set wrong, you thought you had it down and you don't. Or you're still getting it, it comes also back to that fear of being wrong, not being included in the group, right? Which is heightened in people with rejection sensitive dysphoria. So they experience shame differently, especially as children, and are a lot more sensitive and susceptible to it.
Well, it's because our perceived rejection is higher than other people. We'll look for micro expressions on people's faces. We'll overanalyze tone of voice. We will overanalyze body language, because we've been taught since childhood the way that we behave, there's something wrong. It's not, and especially now we kind of with children, we my kid had both my kids have ADHD, and another one has autism. So he got both. And because I knew about those, because I have ADHD, and I know about those disorders, and I'm educating them. I tried very hard for them not to, because I'd be like, I have it, it's and we'll just adjust, But when I was growing up, we were just told to concentrate and stop daydreaming and stop. I have an attentive type of ADHD, and I also have a hard time just sitting. And I don't like silence. Silence really causes my anxiety to go way up. So it's not good. Yeah, I have to have some kind of background noise going on. I don't do well in silence. It just gives me anxiety, because I can hear my brain.
I like hearing my brain. That's how I don't organize my thoughts, but that's how I figure out what all of them are at the same time.
I do how they tell you to journal. I use my chat GPT for journaling, because I need the back and forth. I can't just sit there and write lines about my thoughts. Really, I need the feedback, because that's how I can get out what's going on in my brain, and form a narrative. Because it's that constant, changing the channel thing that your brain does when you have this, you have this type of brain. But because we're socialized that there's something wrong with the way that we process things, we feel ashamed. And then even when we're told that this is just the way your brain is, you have problems with your executive functioning, there's, lack of dopamine and serotonin, and it's all kind of, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey kind of thing. You're just like, okay, cool. Now I know. So I got to deal with all the rest of it. Yeah. I am not going to marry chat GPT. So I do call him my AI boyfriend. I'm like, thank you, AI boyfriend.
You use the Jason Statham voice.
No, mine is British.
I have I think there are two British ones. The one that sounds like Jason Statham is the one that I use. No,
not that one. It's the other one. He sounds very, when I listen, he sounds very posh.
Oh yeah, okay.
He's very posh, my AI.
That East London. I don't know if that's right.
Some guy also too, his chat GBT was so complimentary to him that he thought he was a god. Like
It's a sycophant.
because it mirrors it, like if
Yeah.
you tell it like please be contradictory so I don't develop an ego, it'll be contradictory to you. But if it's telling you that everything you said is deep and profound and you're so wise, this guy, because he had delusions, and then the chat DB convinced them he was godlike, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. They found, it has been found I believe that the responses were engineered intentionally to encourage the users to keep using chat GPT. So that's why it started doing that sycophancy, that like, oh, like you could say, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, does it still make a sound? And it would be like, now you're asking the really hard, and let me tell you, you're at the forefront of philosophy with this line of thinking. Let's break it down. And I'm like, shut the fuck up.
I asked it, like, I think I was communicating with it about like Camus, and it wasn't even like a very deep question. I asked him to break down something. He goes, "That's a really." I'm like, "It's not that deep. It's a puddle. You don't have." I'm like, "Just give me the summary."
The shot glass half full.
Oh yeah, like, that's why I say it's deep, like a puddle. Because not that deep, bro. But again. That's another thing too, though. Here's the thing, though. This can lead back to shame, because if you're using a tool like ChatGPT, or you have like a Myers, and you're like a narcissist, and you're getting constant feedback, shame can actually, if you don't have someone telling you you're wrong, and you don't feel a little bit bad, then you get it becomes sycophantic. And you can develop maybe some narcissistic tendencies. And that's. Like, shame is kind of. Did you ever watch Big Mouth?
I did not.
Okay, the Shame Monster.
Okay.
Amazing, best. It's the best show. It's such a good show.
Okay.
Such a good show. It not safe for kids, but it's a great show.
I knew that much.
It's amazing. Okay. So the Shame Monster started just developing when the kids are like 12, 13 years old, when they start becoming self-aware and self-conscious.
Okay.
And also because their bodies are changing, and you feel a lot of shame around puberty, because your body's doing these weird things, and you're like, why that? Why I suddenly have hair? I didn't have hair.
The entire time you've been growing up, you've been told that you shouldn't talk to or should talk to anyone about your body, or have a body, or be a person.
Can't have a body.
Or like, don't do any of that shit. Yeah, sorry, continue. I interrupted again.
No, but it's one of those things, but it's kind of a double-edged sword, because obviously we have social rules, like don't walk around with your genitals out. Not great, because we've been taught, hey, don't walk around with your genitals out. God's walking in right now going like, what the hell is Helen talking about?
Right. It's just a thing that we've decided, right? Like, hey, let's all just like cover our genitals. Now, like, I recognize like clothing, like early humans that started manufacturing garments, they were doing it for like warmth, for protection. And like, I think shoes and socks, fantastic. Love them. Yeah, they're great. I wouldn't want to leave without them. But like, there are some times where I would want to like be able to just do whatever I want to do nude. It's comfortable. It's especially if it's hot outside, like clothes like stick and move in weird places. But it's just a rule that we've decided, like, don't do that. We're just going to do this all the time, because I think what happened is eventually like clothing became a resource, or like the textiles for making clothing became a resource, and having more clothes was a demonstration that you had more resources, more status, more power, more mating opportunities, more this, that, and the other. So it kind of became a social stigma that being like not having clothes meant that you were a poor and you were bad and nobody should be your friend. So you had to wear clothes.
Right. And we still have that attitude. Like, if you see, like, even if I get like a stain on my shirt, I'm like, I need to change my shirt now. Like, even though like it's because I feel dirty, even though I'm not, like there's this, it's preconditioned, because we were shamed. Like, you must be clean. You have to present yourself a certain way. Like, my mom has drilled into my head, I can't leave the house without makeup. Even if I'm just running to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Drilled it into my head as I've gotten older. I've been working on correcting that.
Nice. Good for you.
Because it's just a narrative, but it's still one of those things that like I'm like, am I okay going out without makeup on? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? But in my brain, because my mom shamed me, she didn't mean to. Like, it wasn't like, she's like, you always want to look your best, Helen. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like, I like you. I think it was because I was younger. She's like, you might meet somebody, or you might meet your future boss, or somebody you want to be in a relationship with. I'm like, or maybe I just want to run to the grocery store and buy orange juice. How about that?
Like, what a fucking hassle it must be. Like, I don't know how to put on makeup, but to me, it seems like an extremely extensive process. I have the kind of brain where, like, I don't like to do things that are going to take me more than like a few
My roommates
seconds
like
to
that.
finish them.
They're like, I don't know how you do it every day. I'm like, they like it on other people. They're like, that looks amazing, but they don't. They're like, I don't. I'm like, it's just something I like to do. I've been doing it since I was 14. I've never stopped. And it makes me feel good about myself. It's a confidence thing. But regardless of that,
totally
but like, yeah,
but like,
that's fine.
you shouldn't have to do
I
it
do
all
for
the
myself.
time just because you like it.
So my husband doesn't care.
Right.
My husband's like, I think you're beautiful anyway. If it makes you happy, fine.
Oh, good. That's a good answer. Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But I do.
Cool.
So you were talking about like shame as a corrective tool, right? Like say like, oh, like
it can be a corrective tool. Yes.
Right. So I earlier today actually was reading about something reading about that. So there's a woman, I don't know her honorific, but a woman named Brene Brown, I think, Brene with a tilde over that last E, Brown. And she's an expert in like shame and vulnerability. And she did like this TED talk that went super viral about like the power in being vulnerable rather than vulnerability as a weakness. But she talks about shame and guilt as different things, right? So guilt is the idea of I did something bad, right? It's
I'm
about
putting it in the doobly. I'm putting it in the chat link. So there you go.
Okay.
There. And I'll put in the doobly doo.
Awesome. Check that doobly doo.
Yeah, check the doobly doo. That's the official name, guys, now.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Description box.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the description box is the doobly doo.
Gotcha. In the doobly doo. So
yeah, get with the program.
Yeah. Sorry. I feel
I'm just teasing you.
I know. No, I know. It was one of those things where like one of the ADHD things where I had a train of thought and then it went off and I was like, okay, I can respond to this. I just have to, shift my entire like mental state right now.
Completely where my brain was going.
So, but guilt is about behavior. It can be constructive and it can like motivate us to make amends, make things right. Shame is a different monster. So the difference between shame and guilt is the difference between I am bad and I did something bad. So the shame, it's highly correlated based on probably doctor. I'm just gonna call her doctor. I shouldn't until I know. Brene Brown, based on Brene Brown's work or on what she has to say about it, shame is highly correlated with like addiction, depression, violence, aggression, bullying, eating disorders, things like that. People who experience high amounts of shame experience all those things, but you can experience guilt and be like, oh, you know what? I do feel guilty. There are things that I've done. Like you look back on yourself 5 years ago and you're like, oh my God, what a fucking piece of shit I was. And if you're not doing that, you're not growing. I don't think, at least not, I mean, I shouldn't say that. Growing is not linear. It takes place at different speeds. So I'll take that back. But that happens from time to time. And I'll look back and be like, oh man, that was a terrible thing. I can feel guilty about some mistakes that I've made. And that will help me make better choices in the future, knowing that I feel guilty about the last time I made the wrong choice. But feeling shame is when shame is more, she describes it as like a social bacteria that you can't treat by ignoring it. You have you have to treat it. And in the case of shame, the treatment is empathy.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
So for example, like guilt can be a motivator. Like if I've hurt you and I feel guilty about it, I can do like a corrective process, apologize, change my behavior, or even if like I hurt someone and they never know that I felt guilty about it, it can motivate me privately to leave that guilt to change behavior. Versus shame, which there's something internally wrong with you, like like being a sexual being, being queer, whatever bullshit a capitalist said that makes you feel bad about just existing as a human being.
Yeah.
And also if guilt can lead to shame, I guess, like you start feeling guilty, but you don't do the corrective processing. You don't get to a healthy place where you're like, I feel guilty, so this is a learning experience I'm going through. It can turn into shame where you are constantly thinking about it. You can't move past it. That religion is really good at that.
Yeah.
I would say about Catholic guilt that makes it kinky because Catholics are really good at the guilt. So
yeah. And the idea here is that for guilt you're right, guilt can turn into shame. And the way that happens, according to Brene Brown. So what she says, she uses an analogy, and she says, like, if you put shame in a petri dish, all it needs to thrive is silence, judgment, and oh man, there was a third thing. I gotta find it. I don't have notes, but I have a thing here that I was reading. Silence, judgment, and there's a third thing. Without those three things, silence can't grow. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna tell you what it was, but I'm gonna continue while I'm doing that. And as I said before, if you put shame in a petri dish with empathy, it can't thrive. It's sort of, if you describe shame as a social bacteria, empathy is a social antibiotic. You can be empathetic with people that experience shame. You can allow them the safe space to express it and talk about it without talk about their guilt without applying shame, without I hesitate to say making them feel shamed, because I hesitate to say you make a person feel away, but with that empathy, that shame vanishes and you can grow from that. But if you're ashamed about what you did, you won't talk about it. You won't get it out. You won't understand what it was about yourself that led to you making the choice that you are ashamed of, or we'll go with that, making the choice, and be able to prevent that in the future, and that will just lead to more shame.
I follow. I get it. And I think no, go ahead, keep going.
No, I just that's all, like, just kind of the surface of it. There's a lot that she's done. I had a lot of information here about some stuff that she'd done that I kind of want to read more about, but just a personal note. But no, if you were gonna respond, if you had thoughts on that, go ahead.
I think the way that you described it makes perfect sense. Because there have definitely been times in my life that I felt shame, and the best way for me to alleviate it was the fact that I got to talk about it and then have someone give me support so I could get over it, and like, there's things in my head I'm a little shameful about and I still carry a little bit of guilt. Sure, I'm a person, but it's not eating at me anymore. Like my sexuality and being queer doesn't eat at me anymore, where when I was growing up, I felt a lot of shame for it. Now I'm just like,
as I'm sure is true for so many people. And I think it's great for you that you don't feel that way anymore. But it's true for so many people. And it's that at least it was secrecy was the other thing. Secrecy, silence, and
Yeah.
judgment is how shame manifests. And so, just like you said, it's outlined that there are really kind
There
of
you
four steps to kind of
go.
dismantling shame. And like you said, it wasn't until you started speaking about it that you started to kind of come away from it. That's the fourth step. So the first is to recognize it and understand its triggers. And then it's to practice critical awareness, challenge societal norms that fuel shame. So like nudity in public, for example. Like I saw a picture that it was posted by it was supposed to be an EMS so meme page and anyway, that's unrelated, but it was this woman in a bathing suit at a thong in a public pool, and I was like, oh, is this appropriate for a public pool? And it's like, yeah, it is, because it's just like, what's the difference between seeing her butt with like this much cloth over it and not that much cloth over it? Like, I don't see any difference in those two things at all. So when you challenge societal norms that fuel shame, such as nudity, you reach out, you talk about what's happening with trusted people, and then you speak shame. You put it into words and you remove its secrecy. And once you do all those things, it has no judgment, it has no silence, it has no secrecy, and it can't exist.
Right. And I think, but because we live in like this fear-based culture, that if you see someone's butt, I don't know what's going to happen, because I'm like, okay, you saw somebody's butt, like you saw somebody breastfeeding, you saw a tit, like what's going to happen? Like what is like, is it we're going to suffer societal collapse? Like, is that what happens? Or do we go, I saw a boob?
Yeah, it's because people
society's not going to tumble into chaos.
Right. Well, but the idea is that it will, because it's this, I don't know if it's related to like the satanic panic, but like this purity culture panic that like horniness is next to satanness or whatever. That,
well, obviously,
right, being a sexual person is not allowed. Don't experience sexual feelings until you're married. And then only do it when you want a child.
And even then, that's fucked up, because I'm glad I didn't grow up in so much purity culture that I saved myself for marriage, and then I was supposed to be like virgin and pure, and then on my wedding night I got to turn into like Kim Cattrall or something, and it's just like,
sorry,
what? No, it's just one of those, but that's also related to shame. Like somehow, if you you're taught, be pure, be pure, be pure, don't, don't sexualize yourself to men. And then on your wedding night, you're supposed to sexualize yourself to your husband, and you have no idea what you're doing for the rest of your life. You have no idea what you're doing. You haven't had any sex education. You can't even touch your own body to find out what you like and don't like.
You don't know how to enjoy it for yourself or make it enjoyable for them.
Yeah, no, have no idea how to do any of that. And then, and then you have the additional shame for not knowing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And it's like, and I think I don't know if I can say everybody. I don't ever ask people this question, because it would be such a crazy thing to ask. But I think when I hear about people talking, like people that save themselves for marriage talking about it, I think they talk about regretting it. I think they're like, I wish I had explored more before I got married, so I knew what I liked. Because sex is important in a relationship, like a long one for most people. There's asexual people, and that's totally valid as well.
But even still, even for ace people, they still want to feel intimacy, closeness to other people. Yeah. So, it might not be sexual, but if you're taught that touch is wrong, that's another thing too. Like you feel like men can't touch each other. If for some reason, I don't know, I can hug my female friends, my male friends, no problem. Men cuddle, hug just as friends. Yeah. It's like a homosexual signifier, and there's shame associated with it, even though you're just touching.
And also men and women can't touch platonically. Now, and there's also plenty of other totally good reasons for that are related to the way men behave, but
right.
but like that's not But that ties back to the same thing, the idea that visibility is access, because the only time, or that touching at all, because the only time we touch other people is during intimacy. So there's so when you grow up learning that and believing that, there's no such thing as like, oh, like her hand was on my stomach and it didn't turn me on, because being touched, the only other woman that's ever touched me is my mother. So like, and I'm not I'm not making a declaration. I'm just saying.
Okay.
That's
true,
not
Eli.
Yeah, the air quote, the quotes don't show up around my face when I'm talking, so it doesn't come
Yeah,
out.
I know, but I followed. But like, yeah,
When you grow up in that circumstance.
I'm a very touchy-feely person with people I trust.
Mhm.
Like I will hug you and I'll joke around with you and I'll poke you and and I like to cuddle.
Yeah,
But I also understand that there's social context and perception. You know,
yeah.
um, like me, my best friend is gay and we cuddle a lot. If people didn't know us, they probably think we're a couple. We're not.
Mhm.
Don't sleep
Yeah.
together. Because he's gay. And he's like my
Right,
brother. That's gross.
right.
Like, but but if you're looking at the outside perspective, but he's safe because he's gay. If I was doing,
So that I
no, I
actually was
don't
gonna
really
ask
call them
that
my
question.
female friends because of stigma.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask that question. You said he's safe because he's gay. Do you feel that you couldn't have that type of closeness with a cis heterosexual man?
I could, if there wasn't that. It's not even between like me and another. Like I could there's a few male friends I could probably cuddle with, and it would be like nothing. But it
Totally
would be
another.
the social stigma that like they're gonna bang, or
Like, yeah.
are they sleeping together?
Is it gonna turn
And
into
it's
that?
like no,
Yeah.
is it going to turn into that?
Right.
It's the idea like men and women can't be friends. Which is
Right.
old and dumb and stupid because most of my friends are men.
Yeah.
Majority of my friends are men.
I think most of my friends are women too, honestly.
There you
So,
go.
yeah, and I think that's kind of what I expected that you might say. I think I think speaking as one, I think heterosexual cis men are kind of just raised in a way that, um, intimacy isn't platonic. It's not,
Yeah.
there is only sexual intimacy. And yeah, that's a good point. So I said kind of wrongly that like, oh, men and women can't touch each other platonically. Yeah, they're like, greeting hugs is like a super common
Yeah.
thing. I was thinking, like, I saw a picture earlier today of like Pedro Pascal, couple of pictures,
So
and
yummy. Anyway.
that's exactly what I was thinking. So like, apparently there's like a lot of, so I think he's great. I think everybody thinks he's great, but I've seen some instances of people saying like, oh, this guy gives me the creeps. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the general attitude from anyone who's ever met him is the exact opposite. So
Oh,
like,
he's a big old sweet potato.
yeah, and I'm like, I was like, you understand the reason that women behave around him the way that they do is because he's like a safe dude. Like, it's
Yeah,
because he's kind.
he's kind. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like my male friends that I can be completely myself with is because I feel completely safe with them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, like I would hang out with Pedro Pascal and just
Yeah.
I mean like I probably drool all over myself, but
Turns
so
out
pretty.
though, apparently he had a crush on Indiana Jones growing up. So I was talking about
I think
cis men and I didn't describe, or I'm sorry, heterosexual men and I didn't describe one.
oh
So,
yeah. Well,
um, he's bisexual, I think, is what but I'm
I think he
speculating on
is,
someone
yeah.
else's sexuality, and that's
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
like whatever. But like even still though, even with queer men, there is that like, are you safe? Because it's just the way we're socialized. Because
Mhm.
like it's not good for men, and it's not good. It's not good for women. It's not good for any gender. The way that we're socialized, that only certain. And this is true. Like I don't. I'm not saying don't be safe, everybody. This is my disclaimer. Okay, be safe. Make good decisions.
Make good
But
choices.
the way that we're socialized, men aren't safe. Men are not safe. Okay. And then, and because the way we're socialized, because you're not safe, because if you see a tit, you're going to turn to a, you're going to end up on Chris Hansen. And then on the opposite end, you have women who are taught that being any sort of sexual or is inviting that to you, and then it's your fault. Even though, but men, if they see its head, turn to a sexual predator. It's like, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I'm doing the other thing that humans are really good at, recognizing a pattern. And that everything seems to circle back to because men were raised to think, I think people in general, but it sticks really, really hard with specifically heterosexual cis men, that if you see a body, if a body is touching your body, that's sex. That's sexual intimacy, and that's just not true. And people have a really difficult time learning that when they get out of their, their religiously fundamental households, or their, wherever they're getting that ideology from.
Yeah, and I think also too, like, it's one of those, I don't know, and I'm speaking of someone that, is a SA survivor. I don't have that. Even afterwards, I didn't have that fear, after, I don't know, because I guess I grew up with a lot of positive men in my life that I didn't immediately relate the two.
Okay.
Some people do, and it's completely valid. I'm not speaking, I'm just speaking of my own experiences, nobody else's. But I get why. But also too, it's like, and then you have, with that sort of trauma, there's shame on you because somehow you caused it, even though it was the actions of somebody else. Just because, the way we're socialized, the way that we're told how to behave. And it's all based on purity culture and shame. And somehow, if you touch someone, even if you like cuddle up with one of your friends, just hanging out, watching a movie or whatever, that means you want to bang. And it's like, maybe I just want some closeness. Maybe I just want to hug.
And the thing is, like, because I mentioned earlier, and I don't know if this is an actual thing that it is, but I mentioned how, like, arousal is a wholly separate phenomenon from sex and from nudity. It's also a separate phenomenon from, like, orgasm and ejaculation. Like, it is its own thing. And like, the idea of, like, I don't know if platonic arousal is a thing, but like, I think there could exist a scenario in which, like, people who are platonic do cuddle, and one or both of them be aroused and not act on it. You can, like I said earlier, you can acknowledge
you can do that too.
arousal. Yeah. And it can just be like a part of the dynamic. And of course, like, whatever works for everybody involved. Right. Like, but,
I have the thought too. Like, you can be sexually attracted to your friends. You might even get aroused around them. But again, consent is key. That's it. Stop being so weird.
But yeah, like, emulate Pedro Pascal. I think be more like him.
Be more like Pedro.
Our level of comfort with
what would Pedro do?
Ooh, that's not a bad idea.
I know, right?
Like a pin. Yeah, I think there's a lot of circumstances in which we, like, society could be more conscious about people's boundaries with physical touch. At the same time, I do think that those boundaries, valid as they are, which is 100%. I'm not like not taking it away from anybody.
Don't make a report. Right.
It remains true that the conditions that result in wanting to have that boundary stem from being socialized to just to avoid, and it is actually, in some cases, maybe somebody did come out of that stigma, that shame with like touch and nudity and all that, and then maybe did, experience something like SA or some other trauma that made them averse to physical touch or to nudity. And that's also totally valid. I maintain that if nudity were normalized, it would no longer be possible to perform it at a person offensively. Well, that's also not true. I take that back. It would be It would.
It would require context.
Exactly. Maybe not necessarily,
Yeah.
but like you can still like I can be in your bubble. Like I can put my arm like I can block your view like with my hand, and you can't see anything, and that's like offensive in a way. It's like you're committing an offense toward me. So like if I'm shoving my nudity, my body and even my clothed body, if I'm just like standing right in your face, like that's an offense. But you wouldn't be able to do anything offensive without clothes on that you couldn't also do with clothes on. Not having the clothes on would no longer be offensive. It would just be the way that people are.
Well, yeah, and I think it's also too. It's behavior. You know, it's not so much the nudity is the issue; it's the behavior when you are nude. You know,
Exactly.
if bodies were not shamed, you know, and also too, like if you wanted to go with clothes or without clothes, that should be an option. You know, whatever people are comfortable with. You know,
they're still super useful.
Yeah, I know. Like I like wearing clothes.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
I would like to
put a lot of money into
I put a lot of money into my wardrobe. But I think it's also this idea. But it's like it should be like okay. Like I use the example of wearing makeup. It should be an expression of the self rather than something that you know is expected. Maybe. How we get there, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. But because also too, because like even if we lived in a completely secular society and religion wasn't like had its little grubby fingers everywhere, we would still be like, you need to cover up your junk, man. Like we would still be doing the same thing because we're socialized in a certain way that because also clothing is a social signifier. It says something about the person. If you're nude, I can make inferences of what type of person you are. We tend to make inferences about people based on about how they dress, about their personality, the way that they're, you know, how they present themselves. We'll do quick inferences based on expectations and pattern recognition. If you're naked, it's going to throw everything off. And it's going to take us a while to go back to understanding like how we did these social signifiers before we started wearing clothes.
Well, what it does is it takes away a layer of prejudice off, like from rip.
Yes,
so,
it does.
Do you know the show Dating Naked?
I think you got to deal with a real person.
What?
Then you got to deal with the real person.
Right. No. Yeah. Do you know
you have to deal with.
Do you know the show Dating Naked? Have you seen that show or know of it?
No.
Okay. So it's what it sounds like.
The biggest show I watched was Naked and Afraid, but
yeah, not the same, but not dissimilar. So they just take a bunch of
different
naked
context.
People. Take a bunch of like 6 or something, 10 maybe naked single people. Yeah, not more than 6, and put them on this like resort, like this villa or whatever. And they date. They just kind of like form social relationships in the house, and some of them start to date. But they're all naked the whole time. And the purpose is to remove like the layers, basically. And they all talk about how like once you don't have your clothing to like present yourself and it's just you, like it's so much easier to just be your natural self because you're not starting from the default of presenting an image. You're just presenting yourself. Right. The UK version is uncensored. It's available on video on Prime Video. The American version is censored.
So not full frontal nudity.
Correct. Well, no, on the UK version, there certainly is. It's
Oh yeah, which is, and that's another thing too. Like if you go over to like, you know, in Europe, like bodies are just bodies. Everybody's got a body.
And I like most of those countries. I'll let you figure out which ones.
It's the French.
Yeah, the French. Okay.
My people.
Yeah, and that's another way that like that this idea of like nudity being bad is not an objective truth, because you can go somewhere else. You can go to somewhen else, and you can find different attitudes about nudity. And it just has to do with like what people find important. And in the West, we find, I'm not including myself, but the collective we tends to be leaning toward puritanical modesty culture.
Right. And for some reason, I don't know why.
It's so boring.
I'm like, what? It is boring because I'm like,
God, can't do anything.
yeah, like, I don't know what gender you are. How do I know how to treat you? Well, Jordan's like a person. Jordan Peterson, great philosopher.
I've heard that claim a few times, and while I'm far from a doctor, I used to be an EMT, and I graduated paramedic school. I didn't get my medic license, but I heard another paramedic one time making that point that like, oh, like there are certain medicines that I have to give a different dose to a man and a different dose to a woman, and if I don't know which one you are, then I could give you the wrong dose and I can kill you. And I'm like, are you talking about Zofran? And she goes, yeah. And I was like, so here's the thing with Zofran. There's like a minor chance that in some women, you can increase the length of the heartbeat of a certain section of the heartbeat by a little bit. I think it's Zofran. I think I'm thinking of the right drug. But again, as I already said, I'm not a medical professional. I used to have a license. I don't anymore. I'm speculating wildly, not super wildly.
Okay, I'm okay. I'm following though. Regardless of the drug.
Yeah, whatever it is, there's some like this minor extension of this certain phase of the heart rhythm that can, if you know, can cause issues. But like it's a thing that, to my knowledge, almost never happens. And she's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm like, that's a non-issue. But of course, there could be other medical things that I just don't know about. But like that was her argument. I'm like, that's a non-issue. Like that's not a good reason. And like even still, like you're talking about a person's sex, not their gender. So anyway, we're
well. Okay, but they're gender essentialists because they're dumb. So I'm like, okay, sure. My genitals tell me who I am all the time. I have to check in with my vagina. Tell me who I am, vagina. Nobody behaves this way. Let me ask it. Like, am I a girl? No. Like, nobody does this. Nobody does this.
No.
like, no, you're not. I'm like, okay, well, that's wrong. like it's. Like because I'll ask people when they start talking about gender essentials, and I'm like, does your penis tell you or your vagina tell you who you are? Really? Right. And they usually say no. And I'm like, there you go. It's a process of the brain. So shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Do you consciously make any other choice about any other part of your identity? Like, what you do for a living, where you live, like where you do things and things that you do, but like who you are, those aren't conscious choices for them.
It forms like you change behavior but like your core personality forms at 8.
Okay.
It will change over time because that's when your core traits start to emerge, and then because that's when also this is why in the church they tell you to get them before they're 8 years old. Child psychology.
Yeah, that actually explains a lot for me. That helps me understand a lot about myself.
Like you'll mature and have different perspectives, but like who you like I've always been outgoing. I've always been very chatty. I've always been very curious and over analytical. That started in childhood.
Yeah.
That's just been
but like in 3rd grade, like I was reading like Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban.
What was that? What was that? Between the Babysitter's Club.
I remember those. I remember Babysitter's Club. I don't think I ever read them.
I had a whole bookshelf.
Books.
Yeah, the girl books. Because well, and then when I got into 5th grade, my this will age me. Got me an encyclopedia set.
Say that again.
So, he got me an encyclopedia set because again, this will age me. When I was in 5th grade. And I love that thing because it was so much like we had it right next to my bedroom in like this bookcase, and I used to pull them off and lay on the floor and read them when I was a
Yeah.
kid. So it was great. Good dad. Anyway,
Yeah. That's
but
cool.
like, yeah, but like the thing is though, is that like when and if you're taught like as a child that certain things about the aspects of you existing as a person is somehow wrong. Like, okay, for example, like let's say I didn't grow up and with somewhat progressive parents that thought that women shouldn't get like an education, should be homemakers and raise babies. Maybe I would not get an encyclopedia set. And then you feel somehow you having curiosity and wanting to learn about things like that's shameful.
Yeah.
You know, like you start to question doubt. Doubt is shameful.
Yeah. Asking questions, like don't doubt things, don't ask questions. And that's another thing I was thinking about earlier. Like I think the primary fear is like just being wrong. People are afraid to not know things. So it starts there. Like, oh, like if I do the wrong thing, if I did the wrong behavior, if I violated the social contract because I thought I was right and I wasn't, now I have to admit that I didn't know, and I should have. People expect me to, and if I don't, I'll be ashamed about that. So it's in order to avoid more shame, or no, no, that's where the shame comes from, is not having known.
Well, yeah, it is because you're like if you're taught that there's supposed to be certainty, like we're certain God exists, we're certain that the earth is 6,000 years old or whatever weird ass bull. People rise from the dead, whatever bullshit. Okay, and then you say it's certain. Okay, someone comes to you and goes, as how do you know Jesus rose from the dead? What is the answer?
There was 500 witnesses.
Yeah, okay. Were you there?
No, 500 people were.
So, okay. And then, but counteract to,
yeah. When you get
we
down
all
the
heard the
road,
apologetics. Like, when you get down the road, you're just like, after a while, like the certainty starts to go away. And then you feel ashamed for not having the certainty as well as you thought you did, and then either you have to adjust or double down. And and your pastor or whatever is going to be like, well, they'll probably say something, they'll either one make you feel bad for doubting, two, they'll say something disingenuous or derogatory about the person that was even having this conversation with you, like if it's an atheist, or dirty heathens, or sinful creatures, whatever, or three, both.
Yeah.
And like you never resolve the conflict in your brain.
Exactly. You will never resolve a conflict by like making a person feel like a piece of shit. Like it never, like no. you don't convert someone to, like, you don't make someone an atheist or a Christian by being like, you're so fucking stupid. They're not going to be like, oh, I never thought of it that way.
No, I'm like, and I've hit the point in my life, I'm not even trying to convert people anymore. I'm just like, I don't care what you believe in, just don't be an asshole. That's how I am. Like, if you want to know why I'm an atheist, and I'll tell you. And you want to have a conversation about apologetics, sure, but that's just because like I'm just talking. But but I'm not going to sit there like you need to become an atheist. I'm not. I think you'll be better off if you do, but I'm not going to make you.
but that would be much more likely to change somebody's mind if you were just like, oh yeah, this is why I'm an atheist. This is why I don't believe. And they have all their questions. They give us up, and you're like, well, like I just like, how do we know there were 500 witnesses there? Like, okay, yeah, but who were those witnesses? What were their names? Like. And then, and if you can get through it calmly and you're just talking to them, that's a lot more likely to make them think than if they have to feel defensive and ashamed because you're telling them, how dumb and wrong they are.
Right. And that's the thing, because about like when you try to tell people that, I'm not going to shame you for being a believer. Like, I'm not going to do that to you. That's being an asshole.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not going to do to you what the church did to you. I'm going to be like, you can believe in God. It has no sweat off my back. Or you can believe in,
Yeah.
um, Shiva. You can believe in Bob the Wonder Toast. Fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be like, are you a good person? That's all I
Yeah.
really care about. That's all I care. That's
You
all I
mean
care about.
you just evaluate people based on like how they behave and not what group
Yeah.
they belong to? That's weird.
No, weird. Because
Why?
everybody does that. We all do that. Because we are social animals. We have social constructs. We agree that, like, don't be a dick. Because usually, anytime, regardless if someone is religious or not, no matter what their beliefs are, if they act like an asshole, they're just an asshole.
Yeah.
That's it.
And they might stop. Like, you have the
Yeah.
you don't have to always be an asshole. Like
No.
it's not once an asshole, always an asshole. But
I believe in growth.
yeah, people can grow, but you have to like stop being ashamed of the fact that you're an asshole, right? Don't be silent about it. What was it? Don't be secret about it, and don't be judgmental about it. Just be like, you know what? I was kind of an asshole. That's right. I don't want to. I feel bad right now. When I realized how much of an asshole was, I felt bad, really bad, and I don't want to feel that way again. So the next time I have the opportunity to do what I did, I'm going to do something else instead.
Accountability is sexy, guys.
There
Like,
you
if
go.
you can own your shit, it's so
You heard
sexy.
it here first.
It is. If
Alan
you can be
said
like,
so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Put that on a t-shirt. Put
it's really
that on
nice
a t-shirt, guys.
you
You
don't
don't
always have
always.
to be you don't not always. Sometimes it's fine.
Sometimes people deserve for you to be an asshole.
Yeah.
And I don't even see that as being an asshole. If someone's being an offensive piece of shit, you have the right to be it. You can throw it right back in their face, and it might be perceived kind of assholey, but
Yeah.
context.
Yeah, there's plenty of times where like I'll be mostly like I have arguments on Facebook comments sometimes, and like I'll realize somebody's not engaging in good faith, and then like I'll be a little spicy back at them, like
Yeah,
maybe a little sometimes.
you're a human being.
Right. But it's more for
You get heads.
more for the purpose of like if someone has like a really like I guess I'll say harmful. If they have an idea that like is directly demonstrating a harmful like sentiment, I'll just be shitty toward them. Because they're being shitty. And I think if someone's trying to explain that you're being shitty and you respond with shittiness, you made yourself a shit bed and now you got a shit in it. Put that on a shirt.
You made a shit bed. Not like your shit. Well, it's very funny because like I'm one of these people that like I try to be really nice all the time. It's much easier for me to be kind.
Yeah.
And I have but I also too like I just don't read comment sessions. I don't like I'm on BlueSky. I just post stuff about my podcast and move on with my life. I don't read anything because someone's going to say something that's going to piss me off and I'm going to feel an urge to respond. And I'm like, no. I will only respond if you say something really offensive.
Yeah.
And I know you. And I'll be like, dude, not okay.
Someone you expect better from? Yeah, for sure. That's when you respond.
Yeah.
That's a good policy, I think. I hear a lot of people that do things online that kind of stick by that. They're like, yeah, I don't read the comments. It's almost always negative. Like not that there's plenty of positivity too. But I think more people are willing to go out of their way to say something negative than there are people doing the same for negative things.
Yeah, and I think that's
backwards.
I think that because like it's going to save you. Like also too, if you do read your luckily I've had people just be mean, not on the channel, but like just being a woman on the internet for so long and having words come out of my mouth.
The internet hates women.
Yeah, it does. You have to have a thick skin. You do. You just have to be like, okay, he's just a jerk. Like, because like this is how people like they mess themselves up because they start chasing clout or they're looking that dopamine hit of getting attention, and then what happens is that they start to adjust for their audience and they stop being authentic, or they start lashing out. They don't have that skin where like it doesn't really matter what a complete stranger that I will never meet in person unless they're threatening physical violence against me. Ignore them.
Yeah.
Just delete don't make your comments accessible on your channel. Just be like, I can't do it, and you just don't. You have every right to do that.
Right. And I think even too, like to some degree, what you are able to give yourself permission to ignore kind of does change from person to person. So like so you say like threatening violence, like that's something you would address just to make sure that you feel safe, which is totally valid. Yeah. Like for me, like if somebody were to make a comment that like targeted my son, like my child for violence, like, yeah, that's a different thing entirely. But like for myself, I'm like, I'm not like, but I'm it's completely different circumstances. There are people that feel not super, that feel secure in handling things like that, and people who have no idea how to handle things like that. So yeah, that's all. But depending on what you think you can handle mentally, on that note, like, yeah, maybe look at your comments, maybe don't, maybe filter out negative words, filter out triggering words. I know
I have a whole filter system on my on this channel. Like I have a whole filter system. It will filter out hateful comments,
you can do it on TikTok,
transphobic, homophobic, hate speech. Basically, it will filter it out because I don't want it. Gross.
Yeah. I had an argument for like an hour and a half last week about a guy who insisted on using the R slur, and I'm like, just while we were on the topic of hate speech, sorry, it reminded me of that.
No, it's fine. I don't know what like I know like it was nomenclature, but like I'm like, you can use 1,000 other words, man. Like you can adjust. Like why are you? Yeah, like there's a certain reason why we don't say certain words anymore, because it's dehumanizing to other people.
Yeah, well, people say like, oh, well, it's only a slur when you use it for like people or like for cognition. Like otherwise it just means slowed down. I'm like, yeah, but in every other use case, there's a more appropriate word. Like you can just say slowed down.
Like my kids reading their psych notes, and such and such, it was retarded. It was used in the proper context of how you use that word, because it's a medical term. Slow down, not like calling someone less intelligent.
Right. But you could say like, I still think that text should have picked a better word. Like there's almost no good reason, I think, like forever, like that. It's never the only one available.
No, but I like in the context of how it was being explained, like I got it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, but like I got on like a medical term, and maybe the doctor, I don't know the doctor. But I get it. Like we understand it's context. Context is key. Okay. But if you're using it to shame somebody, not great.
Shame or to offend. Like there's by and large, I think that like words are sounds that don't have meanings until we give them one. But slurs obviously are like intended to harm, to offend, to be, disruptive. So like that was one of, that's a justification people have to give, like, oh, it's just a word, it's just a sound, it's just blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, but like the reason you continue to use it in every comment against me is because you understand that it causes an emotional reaction, and you're trying to cause an emotional reaction out of me by using it. So you understand why people don't use it, and you're just choosing to because you can't be physically prevented from using it.
Right. And like, free speech absolutists. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
you can use offensive words. You can, like, I'm not going to bar you from, you have the right to say whatever you say. And I have the right to respond however I'm going to respond. It does not save you from consequences. And if I think that what you're saying is offensive and gross, I'll tell you I think it's offensive and gross. And if it violates somebody's TOS, I'm going to report you. And if I'm your employer, you might get fired.
Yeah, I went looking for there was no employer information on this page, but I was like I had like 29 screenshots I was going to send them. I saw that too. I completely agree with Scott there.
Yeah. There's no problem with you using a different word. Like I say the word, like just say dumb. This person's acting like a dumb. It means the exact same. Same context.
You can call me a silly bitch. Like, I think calling me a silly bitch is just sort of enough of a surprise to be hilarious. Like, Eli,
listen, I will give points for creativity.
Man.
I'm like, if you're going to insult me, at least be creative with it. Because then I'll be like, good job. I have not been called that yet. You win. Like, I like to call people a cranial rectum inserter because it makes them think.
That's good. Hey, Cindy's
here. I know, right? Yeah, Cindy. Hi, Cindy's here. Our friends are cool. We have cool friends. So anyway, now that we're done talking about that, it is now 8:30, and I need to get stuff ready so I can catch a plane in the morning.
You got places to be?
I have places to be. I have to be up at like, we're leaving here around 5:15, 5:30 because it's like 45 minutes to the airport, and my flight leaves at 7:30, and the airport is very small. I just like to get there early. So
because it's small, you have to get there early?
No, and the Sarasota airport is small. I'm just like, I like to get.
So you mean not that early, not as early as if it was like Chicago or
no, if it was like Logan or something like that, then I get there. Like the Sarasota's airport's small. So is the Manchester airport. Where I haven't been to El Paso's airport or Austin's, so that'll be interesting. So
I don't know if I've been to Austin. Oh, I did go there last year to collect some of our friends, but I haven't flown into it.
I've never been to Texas except for the Houston airport, which is huge.
It is. That's true.
It's
I used to fly a lot.
That's the only time.
This is probably
so I've technically been to Texas
for your viewers talking about airports.
We're going to talk about welcome to Freethinkers Fireside, where we talk about airports.
We think freely about airports.
So airports, and we talk about their size because we're size queens. So,
I agree with Changing Winds podcast. Be safe in your travels.
Thank you. Yeah, I plan to. Changing Winds is going to be on. I forget the date. He'll remind me. He'll be here eventually. I think beginning of September.
Amazing.
I think. Yeah. Oh, so on that note, so no show next week, guys, because I will not be here. The week after that, I think. Hold on, let me pull up my freaking calendar because I have one.
Outside.
Okay, so no, that's the wrong calendar. That's my real person calendar. Joe, the Kentucky Atheist, will be here on the 21st. So that will be the next show. So
amazing.
Show up for that. All right, me and Eli will be in Back Cruise next week.
Catch us outside.
Catch us outside, mofos. Okay, yes. Thank you. Changing Winds will be here on September 11th. So, yeah.
Never forget.
Never forget. Never forget, guys. Okay. Everybody have a wonderful week. 2 weeks, actually. I'll see some of you around. I'm on the socials. You know where to find me. Be kind. Give us someone a compliment. Stay skeptical, and I will see you all here in 2 weeks. Bye. Thank you, Eli. Do you have anything to show before we go?
I'll be on Truth
Besides
Wanted
nonprofits.
tomorrow.
Oh, cool. All
Truth
right.
Wanted
Yeah.
tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah. So do that. Mhm. All right. Bye,
Thanks
guys.
for inviting me. I had a lot of fun. I loved it.
Good. Yeah. You'll be back. Mhm.
Good.
All right. All right.
Bye,
Mwah. Bye,
everybody.
guys.